A little bit about myself then. I've been working within IT since the 70s, developing a lot of projects and being project manager and developing a lot of systems, mainly for IBM internal here in Sweden. And then I started to help our customers within IBM, and then I both when I was developing systems myself and when I came to the headquarters for IBM and working with customers, I found that I could use I needed something to measure projects and what we were delivering. So I came across function points already 1984. It was really early adopter of that. And as Paula said, I started a software metrics group here in Sweden, and I'm certified as a function point specialist. I was the first in Northern Europe and the same to be certified as a software measurement specialist. And since 1998, I've been working with benchmarking. So, and that's what this topic is about, benchmarking. And I'm presenting this on behalf of IFPUG. And IFPUG, as you have heard, they have 2 products now that are certified as an ISO certification. It's a function point assessment method, and it's the SNAP method for measuring non-functional requirements. In IFPUG, they have individual and corporate members all over the world, and they have a really international board of directors and international chapters. It's a true international organization. So what I'm going through here, I'm going to talk a little bit about first, why should we measure and why should we do, and why are we doing benchmarking of IT projects? And then a little bit about the components within measurement. And I will end with talking a little bit about the new IFPUG Benchmarking Certification that I've been working with for a quite long time. So, what are the challenges that they have a normal CIO? They want to improve the productivity. They want to increase the revenue. They want to improve the product quality, maintain the staff, and cut overhead costs. That's what several companies have answered when the Nordic CIO, IDC Nordic, made a CIO survey here and with 600 companies in the Nordic region. And perhaps you know that application development and maintenance, that's often half of the IT budget, and it could be more than half also. And there is a group, Standish Group, they used to come out with a chaos report each year. I don't know if they started in the 90s, but I followed that since the beginning of 2000. And they try to see the status of projects. How are they performing? And it seems to be quite stable, unfortunately, that a lot of projects, they are failing. If you look at between 2015 to 2020, about 20%, 19 are failing, 1 of 5. And nearly half of all projects are challenged. They are late, over budget, and or deliver with less than what they should have delivered. And only 35%, normally 1 of 3, are delivered on time, on budget, and with the required features and functions. So why should we work with measurement and benchmarking? There are a lot of ways we can see this from a CIO, from a management perspective. They want to improve the productivity, as you have seen in the IDC report. They want to decrease costs and increase the quality. They also want to increase the customer satisfaction and increase speed to market. And it could be resource skills planning. They need some information to do that, and portfolio management and outsource activities. So if you're going to do a benchmarking, then you have to check with the management, what is the priority for this benchmarking? Why do they want to do a benchmarking? It could also be they want to do it for communication. They want to show both internal and or external people what the status is of their IT organization. So they want to increase the awareness and credibility of the performance that they're doing. A lot of companies also have problems with estimation. So then you can use measurement for that, to see work effort for new projects and tasks, and also estimate the expected quality levels, and not least the maintenance cost and effort prediction, because the development is just a small part of the total cost of an application. So that's could be very good to know about the maintenance. What could we predict that the maintenance cost will be when we are starting, so we can get the right resources ready to take care of this new, if you develop a new application, so they know how many people should they have in this group that will maintain this application. And it could also be for making decisions about selection methods and tools. It could also be what kind of languages should be used. We saw information that was shown from the database that it will differ depending on what kind of methods and tools and the languages that we're using when we develop our applications. And it can also be get a signal, should we go with this project or not? Should we prioritize this project or not? Should we take another one before this? Do you need facts to do this? And also for outsourcing, to know if this really something that we should do, or should we keep it in-house or not? Or even if we there are applications that we could buy, should we buy them? Because a lot of applications, they cover a lot of more functionality than we need. So if you buy something, you will perhaps get double up with functionality versus you really need. So you must take that in consideration when you make a decision. And then you need facts. So if we go over then to the measurement components, we have a lot of quantitative components, the data types. We have the size, as has been discussed a lot today at the different presentations. We have function points for the functional user requirements, and we also now have snap to take the non-functional requirements to size them. We have effort, and then you have to know what kind of effort should you look at, hours or man days. And as someone said, a mandate, it could be 10 hours, it could be 12 hours, it could be 7 hours sometimes in different countries. So then I suggest always to my clients when I'm working with benchmarking, we need hours to make a correct comparison. And should you need something about the duration? When does this project, did it start? When did it end? And perhaps have you had any part that you can, if you look at when you start the construction, when you start the test, etc., so you can see a little bit more about the details in the total project. And information about the defects. And I see defects in different ways. One is the defects that you have within the projects, and the other one is what are the defects when you are testing and just before you're delivering the user acceptance test and system test, etc. But it's also very, from my point of view, when I'm looking at benchmarking and try to find performance improvement, how should they improve? Look at when is a defect introduced in the system and when is it detected. And if you could shorten that time, the more productive you will be. And then another thing is is of interest to catch is the costs and also the user satisfaction. Did we deliver what the user wanted? And using that, you can do some kind of analysis and come up with a measured performance. But there is qualitative data types as well that are affecting the performance. If you look at the platform, which kind of application type is it? What processes and methods are you using? The skills in the project, tools, and the manning. And the resources as manning, as I think it was Harold said, it could be a factor of 10. I've seen in other studies, I've seen even bigger factor of manning. So buying by hours, it doesn't say anything what you really will get. So these are the influence factors. And if you have that together with the measured performance, then you can get the baseline performance. And based on that, then you can look at and see what are the potential improvements that you can make and help the client with. Or if you're doing it internal, you can find it, how should we improve? And can also identify best practices that you can help other project teams to adopt and start using. So we'll get over to the benchmarking certification. The certification is based, or we will start certify application development and maintenance benchmarking service providers. And it's based on an ISO IEC standard that is 29155, the Information Technology Project Performance Benchmarking Framework. And that framework is divided in 4 parts. First is a description with concepts and definitions. Then it's a requirements for the benchmarking. And then it's a bit about guidance for reporting. And then we have a 4th part that is requirements and guidance for the data collection and maintenance. Here is a view of benchmarking as they see it in the ISO standard. I don't know if you can see my, you can see in the down right corner, you can see the main process is conduct the benchmarking. But to do that, you can see above that you need the IT project data, the projects that you will benchmark. And then you will need, to the left, you will see the benchmarking repository. We'll need data to compare against. And down to the left, at the left corner, you will need some tools, methods, and guides to do this benchmarking. And above, it's a little bit about, is it the external repository or using external benchmarks, etc. And then we have down to the right corner, how should you use this benchmarking result that will come out. So this is a schema of a picture of the process or the activities that are done within the benchmarking. And here's an example from this document that we have. They are split in different phases like planning, executing, reporting, etc. And this is from the executing of the benchmarking. And then they have different activities described. You can start with the first one, define the data gathering procedure. And for that is define and document the procedure to gather benchmark and IT project data, etc. And if down at the end, CBA 240, you have to acquire benchmark. And by that they say acquire the benchmark by either referring internal or external benchmarks or extracting a set of data from the benchmarking repository and processing it to be a benchmark. And I will come back what we think is a good benchmark. So the requirements that we have put up to be a certified benchmarking delivery and is you have to have completed at least 3 benchmark studies in the last 3 years. You need to have a high-level process that outlines the steps your organization follows when conducting a benchmark, as well as you need inputs and outputs from the benchmarks. And also we would like to have the capability and to contact to at least 3 internal or external clients that you have done benchmarks for during the last 5 years. And this is why if we see something, when we get the evidence that we're looking for, that we would like to get more background information about, then we would be able to contact these external or internal clients to verify things with when we assess all the evidence for this certification. And the process itself, it's we have an application form, and the candidate company, they will fill in the form and they will send payment to IFPUG. And IFPUG, they have a designated committee that will work with this. They will have a kickoff meeting with the candidate company and go through the process and go through what are the expected evidence that they should send to us, and we could answer questions that they have and so on, and we can make up a plan and how should we have meetings meanwhile when they are collecting their evidence and so on, because they will have 2 months to collect all the required evidence and create a package and send it to IFPUG. And when they have sent that package to IFPUG, it says IFPUG designated company, it should be the committee. They will evaluate the evidence package. And then it could be that we need to have some meetings with the company or organization that have sent in the package. So we need perhaps some information, and they could describe things a little bit better what they have sent. And when we have done this assessment, then it will be the result. Either they will be certified or they will not be certified. And if they are certified, we will include a certificate if they passed. And if they passed, they will have this certification valid from 3 years from when they have been certified. So this is one of the, or two of the requirements that we have for this certification. It's like questions. The first one is from the executing phase. How does the benchmarking service provider perform quality assurance of data that updates the benchmarking repository? It could be if they are using external benchmarking repository, then we need to know how they are doing the quality assurance. And ISBC data is one accepted qualified repository because we know how the quality assurance is done there. And the next question I've given an example of is question 9. By the way, it's totally 14 questions that we have. And number 9 is about what is the ISO certified functional size measurement method the benchmarking service provider has the capability to use for benchmarking. And they have to send in documents like the benchmarking report or similar that are showing that they are using an ISO certified function size method. So they could be using IFPUG function point assessment method. They can be using NESMA and etc. Different kind of ISO certified function size measurement methods. So that's a quite easy one to assess. Then I took number 10 as an example. How recent is the data in the benchmarking service provider repository? The benchmark that you're using. And if they have to show the extract from this repository or similar, showing the completion date of projects and applications received. So we can see if they have data that is quite new, or if it's only old data in their benchmarking repository. And number 4 is from the process outcomes, what they're delivering. How does the benchmarking service provider demonstrate that the client objectives were met? Then what they should deliver is documents like the benchmarking report, agreement, or client survey that are demonstrating the client's successful criteria for a study. And the benchmarking study fulfills the client goals and the objectives and is accepted by the client. That's what we would like to see. And when we are assessing this, we have to come up with a scoring. And we have it in 3 different ones. either you can be fully achieved, it could be partially achieved, or not achieved at all. And we have some of the questions that if you not achieve those, then you will be disqualified. You will not get the certificate. So even if you have fully achieved on 13 of the questions and you have disqualification of one of the disqualifier questions, then you will be disqualified. And you can see those with a disqualification there and not a disqualifier for not achieved. These are the ones that get most points for fully achieved and partially achieved. So either you get 25 or 15 points when you have fully achieved when we do the assessment of the questions. And for partially achieved, you can get 15 or 9, depending on the priority. So maximum scoring is 270 if you have fully achieved on all questions. And to be certified, you need 80% of these 270 points. And as I said from the beginning, no disqualifiers. So you need at least 216 points. One thing I can mention more before we go to potential questions that we have been working together. There are people that have been working with benchmarking for different kind of companies in different parts of the world, and to create this certification. And when we come up to the questions and the scoring, how to score this, we started to have a pilot. And this pilot started this summer, and just before the summer, and we have finished this pilot now. And it was really good, and it was really interesting process. And I'm very glad that we got a company that will get this certificate. They passed this certification. So now we are just fine-tuning the questions and everything and the process, and establishing a committee that will take care of this certification. So it will be published on the IFPUG website shortly. So then you can apply for this certification if you're working at a company that would like to do that. So do we have any questions?
Yes, we do, Pierre.
Okay.
Is the certification the same for a small or a very large organization or company? That's from Lionel.
Yeah, it's the same for it doesn't matter of the size. It's just that they have done a couple of benchmarking studies. So that's enough.
Okay.
Because the reason why we started it is if a company would like to do benchmarking, how should they rely that the service provider is good enough? Because it's a lot of cost to do that from a company. And that's why we have started this initiative.
Yeah, good point. Is there an expiry associated with the certificate? I think you said 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, yeah.
Good, good. And you said this is going to be published on the IFPUG website soon.
Yeah.
So it's just starting. There's no certified people today. Yeah.
It's not people. We are certifying providers. It's organizations, companies. It's not individual. It's not individual people. And we have, as I said at the end, we had the pilot, And we have the first service provider of application development and maintenance benchmarking now.
Okay. Paola, did you want to just see if you want to unmute and ask a follow-up question to that? So it's companies, not individuals.
Yeah, it's companies, yeah.
Okay, okay. And Luigi asks, should there be cross discounts for ISBSG members? Is that a question for me, Luigi? I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, it's all new, isn't it? We don't know. Sure, we'll offer a discount. What's the price? Lionel asks.
It's not official yet. Sorry, I can't come up with, because the board has to get out with this information. But it's I can just say it's very, if you compare to what you're paying or the price for benchmarking. As I said from the beginning, I've been working with benchmarking for many years. I was working 10 years for a company that were doing software measurement or application development benchmarking and all kinds of IT benchmarking. And the cost or the price that we had on these, and I've been working for Gartner as well and helping them, the cost for this certification is so small, so it's ridiculous small from my point of view. So
compared to the income of a
oh yeah, it's really, yeah.
Okay.
It must be worthwhile for a company organization to get this certification.
I'd be interested if people think you know, they could possibly have this certification. I'd be interested if you just put a me in the chat, because yeah, it seems that it's really a consulting company sort of thing, and your bigger companies that do a lot of work internally and possibly externally, maybe Capgemini, some of the other Indian companies.
And also, it could be, you can be working for companies and you could like to do benchmarking internally. Then you can use this and start using, looking at the questions, and then you will see what are the requirements. You can look at the ISO standards. What are the requirements for doing benchmarking? How should you do the benchmarking, etc. So you can get a lot of tips and ideas from how to be a successful benchmarking provider, even if you're doing it internally.